Hello, my name is Eric, and I'm here today to talk about the critical orifice that's found in the PVWJ B-frame pump. PVWJ B-frame pump would be the PVWJ 025, the PVWJ 034, and the PVWJ 046. That orifice is located in the center line of the control piston, and it's a stability orifice, so there's always some small amount of oil being bled through that orifice so that the pump is able to stroke smoothly. If we have some contamination in our system and we block that orifice or partially plug it, the response of the pump is going to change. It's going to become sluggish. It'll be slow to go on stroke. So if that's a symptom you're having, this is how we can inspect that orifice, and if it is contaminated, we can clean that out. So what I'm going to do is start by removing the end cap on the control. These 4 cap screws, underneath here is going to be a spring in the control piston. It's a rather large spring. So as I loosen these cap screws, I want to do so evenly so I decompress that spring. There's quite a bit of compression on these springs, so as I back out the cap screws, it's going to relieve the force on that spring. And all the oil gear pumps are designed so that springs are fully decompressed before the last thread comes loose. So if we loosen this evenly, there's no concern that the spring is going to shoot out or we're going to push the end cap across the floor. So I'm going to loosen these 4 cap screws to decompress the spring. That will give us access to the control piston orifice. As you can see, I've loosened the 4 cap screws, and we can see the large control piston spring here. As I'm approaching the end of the threads, the control piston spring will be fully decompressed. I can do the last couple turns with my fingers. Last little bit. Again, this is a large spring I'm decompressing. That's the spring that holds the pump on stroke. The PVWJ pumps have 3-way style controls, so the spring holds the pump on stroke and we hydraulically pilot the pump off stroke. As you can see, my spring is fully decompressed. My cap screws are still in place, so we have no concern the spring is going to come out. Last screw, we have the spring fully decompressed, and all oil gear pumps are designed like that for safety. So we take off our end cap, there's our large spring, and this is our spring guide. At this point, we'll need to take the control off of the pump. It'll be the 4 cap screws that hold that on. We'll loosen the last one, and the control at this point will come right off of the pump. And the control comes right off the pump. To gain access to the control piston orifice, we'll need to remove the control piston. And that's only true for the PVWJ B series. On the A frame size and C frame size, we can access that port or that orifice through the maximum volume stop port. And we pull out the control piston, and there's our control piston. We can clearly see how that rests on the control pin, and again the pump will be in the full stroke position. The control piston orifice is located on this side of the control piston. That's the reason we had to remove the piston to access the orifice. The orifice is a 10/24 set screw threaded into the center line of the control piston. The size of this is 40 thousandths. So what I like to do is either look through that into light, make sure I can see through. Sometimes there'll be oil in there, and I make sure that that's clear. Often, if we have contamination in the system, we'll push a piece of O-ring a piece of debris in there, it'll plug that orifice, and at that point the pump will become sluggish. So take out the control piston, allows me to inspect that orifice. The orifice is removed with a 3/32 Allen wrench. If you want, we can take that out, look at it more closely, make sure any debris is cleaned out. If we do find debris in here, it may not just be in the orifice itself, it may be trapped in the cavity. So when I have that out and cleaned, what I like to do is flush down into the cavity where the control piston rides, flush that out, any debris that's accumulated in there we can rinse out. At that point, we'll lubricate these surfaces again, install our control piston. You'll notice on this side we have annular surface that the spring rides in. Slide into the pump. We'll put in our spring and spring guide. Oops. And actually at this point, now is a good time to put the control on the pump because we can move that control piston freely. Center that control piston on the control pin, and it should drop onto the pump like so. At this point we can install our spring, tighten, at this point install our spring. Then we'd like to put in the cap screws that hold the control onto the pump. Then we'll be able to evenly compress the control spring and torque the cap screws. So that's how we check the control piston orifice. The reason we check that is if it does become contaminated or plugged, the pump response will be sluggish.